right, this is a presentation on Scout Night, Scout Days, recruiting, and other activities. Take me out to the ball game. My name is Greg Sweatmon. I'm from the Greater Alabama Council in Decatur, Alabama. And tonight we'll be covering National League teams. So this is an article that I had found from Spalding Baseball Guide that was actually first issued in the late 1800s and was, I think it was put out until the 1940s, but this, I had to do a little research to try to figure out when this was because it was not dated. But these pictures are from the Polo Grounds, which was first opened in 1925. And that was the home to the New York Giants before they moved to San Francisco. And it's talking about the scouts there soliciting donations for the material and for the ball and bat fund, Clark C. Griffith Ball and Bat Fund. And so when you look that up and who Clark Griffith was, this was a senator and launched a program to raise money to purchase athletic equipment, mostly baseball gear, to outfit every U.S. military training camp. And then the boy's life. So the research I've done on the boy's life, I found that there was 38 covers. The first one being in 1915, and that's the picture of it in the upper left, 38 times on the cover. Mickey Mantle was the first player on the cover. The Pittsburgh Pirates have had players featured 5 times, which is the most of any team. And there's been 6 players that were featured twice, and 4 of those 6 were actually on the same cover once. And there's only been 2 players that were featured individually on separate issues. And of course, one of those being Mickey Mantle. I think everybody's probably familiar with that. And then the other one is Ken Griffey Jr. So we'll start with the Arizona Diamondbacks. And one of the things that they're, I guess, most prominent is their recruiting patches. And that's most of what I have. And I will say that as I go through this, I do not own all these. So anytime I come across an image of a patch that I don't have, I save it. So I know what I'm looking for, and I keep that in a file. And it came in very handy here. So some of these images could actually be some of y'all's that I've cropped down if you've posted them on Facebook or eBay or wherever. Actually, on this page, I do have all these, and they started in 98, and then there's several that they had that are undated. Very few Scout Night patches that I could find images of for Arizona, and they're one of the teams that likes to not date them, which makes it hard for us. The Atlanta Braves, of course, they originally were in Milwaukee. This is a cachet. I like to collect those too. There's several from our council, one of our former councils, but when this one popped up, I had to get it. So this was sponsored by Troop 153 Boy Scouts in the Milwaukee Council in 1957. And there you can see it's kind of hard to see because it's small. So Atlanta did Scout Night baseball cards from 92 to 2004. I do not have all those, but that's the majority of them there. This is what it looks like on the back. You can see at the bottom, it says only registered scouts are eligible for this commemorative baseball card. And then it's got a list of all the players and the years that they were featured. And they started issuing patches in the Pinewood Derby there in the middle from 2017 was actually a program that they held at the park at Truist Park where they held a Pinewood Derby workshop where you could build your car. had all the tools and everything set up. And then when the Braves 1 year before last, Egg will come out with a two-piece set. So you can see I'm missing a few years there as well. The good thing about the Braves is they are putting dates on theirs. And then this is going to be the 2023 patch. And of course, Hank Aaron was a prominent member of the Braves. This is a ad that you've probably seen in several magazines, and actually the same ad in different forms. Sometimes it's rectangular like this, and sometimes it's more horizontal. Or this is horizontal, sometimes it's vertical. He's also on a couple of cards from the National Jamboree in 2013 and 2017. And the Mobile Area Council did a set of commemorative patches to honor him on his 75th birthday. And as most everybody knows, he was a scout in Tomlin, Alabama, which was part of the Mobile Area Council. And my understanding is he went to this camp, Camp Leon Roberts, which was a segregated camp. Moving on to the Chicago Cubs. This is from 1968, Scout Day at Wrigley Field. And that's Billy Williams that squatted down there with Ernie Banks looking over the Cub Scout shoulders, and he's surrounded by Cubs and explorers and Boy Scouts there. And so I actually own this photo. I was able to pick it up a couple of years ago. I've got this ticket from 1965 from Roundup Day with the Cubs. And the Cubs and White Sox both, along with the other sports teams in the Chicago area, were featured on a JSP 1997. And then you can see we start with 2011, the Scout Night. And this is the first one that I'll show, but several teams actually issue Girl Scout patches separately, and I collect both. Sometimes the teams use the same patch for both programs. Sometimes they have separate patches. And here you got 16, 18, and 19. And then this is the image of the 2023 patches for this year. And you can see this year they do have separate patches. Moving on to the Cincinnati Reds. Cincinnati is one that I have a hard time finding much information on. They did have a couple of recruiting patches from the 70s and early 80s. The bobblehead in the center, although it does not say that it's specifically for scouts. In their Scout Night camp out, they have a service project. And what I read was, this was 2015. If you attended the service project, you were guaranteed to receive a Benny Hamilton bobblehead. And then the only Scout Night patch that I've been able to find an image of is one I have there in the bottom left. So they were also featured on some Jamboree patches from 2001 from Dan Beard Council, and also a flap and a two-piece set. The neckerchief, that's not one I own. That was an image that I captured, but I'd like to have that, but I've never seen anything but the image on it. Colorado Rockies. So this is another team you can't find much on out there. Until recently, the only patch I was aware of was the 94 in the Denver Area Council. It created several patches of that same design for the different teams there, their hockey team, and there was another sports program that used that same design as they did for the Rockies. But recently came across these other two images, and so I'm looking for those. Then you've got Miami and the Florida Marlins. So they started in Scout Night in 2003. It goes up. I've got a skip there from 2003 to 10. But from there, they're pretty consistent with dating them till you get past 2015. And these two on the left are definitely the next two in line, although they're not dated. And the images from 2022, and then this coming year will be their 30th year. And that's the patch for this year. So O-Shot-Caw for the 94 NOAC issued a ton of stuff. So there's a couple of pie patches, there's a couple of neckerchiefs, there's I believe 6 to 8 flaps. Some of those flaps look similar, but they are different, and it depends on the stitching direction. It's either radial around the center, or it's horizontal, and then the top one is a felt middle. The teal color is felt, and then here's the reverse of those with the two embroidered patches at the top, and the one on the bottom being the white felt. But same difference. It's all in the stitching there. In '97, they featured the Marlins again on their 98 NOAC for the '97 World Championship, and they had a flap. There's a CSP, 2 back patches that are chenille, and a neckerchief. And like I said, I don't claim to have all this stuff, and I know there's pictures of items that are missing in this as we go through, so I know this is not all inclusive, but it gives you a good idea of what's out there. The Los Angeles Dodgers. So it's hard to find much information on the Boy Scouts attending the Dodger games, but there's a ton of stuff out there for Girl Scouts. And this is actually one of the earliest patches that I found an image with a major league team on from 1973. The Dodgers up there in the upper left-hand corner of that patch. Then there's a ticket from 1975. They've been pretty consistent, I believe, in issuing patches, but they're just hard to find too. Then they have a few that are undated, so it's hard to figure out where they actually fit in the order. And then here we get to some of the Girl Scout patches, and like I said, there's a ton of those, and they don't like to date theirs either. A couple of these have dates, but as we get into some of these on the next page, there's a lot there you see at the bottom there undated. And a lot of times with the Girl Scouts and the Dodgers, they actually got completely different designs, where some of the teams, as we get to, like the Cardinals, use the same design with different colors. So Los Angeles Area Council also featured all their sports teams on a jamboree set in 2010. And so the Dodgers had their own JSP there, and then the staff featured all the teams on it, including the Dodgers. Milwaukee Brewers. So this is another team that it was hard to find much about, and I was finally able to pick up a patch about a year ago from Milwaukee, and that's it on the left. That's from 2019. And then these are the only other 2 images that I've been able to come across for the Brewers. But I do know that they've been hosting Scout nights since at least 2012. And the New York Mets, there's a card for Duke Snider all the way back to 1963. And there's always a couple of these on eBay, and they are really pricey. So I don't own one of those. But the first patch that I've come across is this dated 95, and they also do Girl Scout nights as well. But if you'll notice there in the bottom right, both of those patches have both Boy Scout and Girl Scout symbols on. They've also featured the Mets and their sports teams on different JSPs through the years. And Philadelphia. So Philadelphia had some recruiting patches, sort of start things off, as well as a pin. In 2011, they had a Friends of Scouting patch. And they have a few that are undated as well. Phillies patches seem to be a little easier to find than most teams. And the Pirates, so there's a ton of Pirates patches. First one that I'm aware was on a JSP for the 93 Jamboree. And then in 2000, they started dating them. I do know there's a 2001, and all those patches there, the 2000, 2002, 2004, those are 3.5, 4-inch patches. Those are bigger than our standard 3-inch patch. Several of these patches of the Pirates are actually very large, but in 2009, you started seeing the Girl Scout. Well, 2007 is the Girl Scouts is on there, but they're going to start separating where they've got separate patches. So you see here at the top, I've got 2011, 12, and 13 for the Boy Scouts. And then the girls had their own patches for 11, 12, and 13 as well. So in 16 and 17, they also issued patches for the color guard. And that's one of the things you'll see in the flyers for most all these scout nights is there's a parade and a color guard. And scouts most of the time get to throw out the first pitch too. And so the color guard patches are pretty neat. You got the San Diego Padres. And, there's somebody on this program that's helped me collect some of these. And I just recently picked up that Girl Scout there at the top, which was the oldest one that I had seen from the Girl Scouts. All of those on the top row and bottom left are sort of a vinyl type material. It's not your typical embroidered patch. And then these ones on the bottom, starting with a 2009, those are wovens. And those actually come in a package. And, so that's why you can see the wrapper on those, because those have not been taken out of the package. And so the Girl Scouts have issued some separate patches as well. And so in the most recent years, the Padres are also issuing jerseys and hats. And there at the bottom, the hat at the bottom, those are for this year. The Giants, they had a hat and a pin in 2009. There's a neckerchief or bandana for 2010. The patch in the bottom right, the 2012, is actually a sticker. The Giants also use the same design for both programs. Best I can tell, around 2016 is when they started issuing the same design on the patches for the two different programs. And this year, you can get a canteen for attending Scout Day. So that's the giveaway this year at the game. St. Louis Cardinals. So they've been featured on JSP as well, along with the other sports teams. But all the way back to 2002, because I have seen the Girl Scout badge in 2002 as well. So they use the same design and just change up the colors. And of course, it's really evident here when you get to 2016 how the patches for the different program match. So I found out last year in 2022, you can actually go online and order the ticket and get the patch mailed to you. So that's what I've done for 2022 and 2023 is actually ordered my own ticket and got this a little more pricey that day than picking it up at a Trader or eBay, but um, it guarantees that you get one. And I've seen someone that's selling those on eBay recently as well. That those have been available for probably 6 or 8 weeks. So the Washington Nationals. Um, so upper left there is 2005. They used the same jersey design for the first 2 or 3 years, and you can see the dates on the bottom of them. So the first two are 2005 and 2006. The pink one is 2007. Then all four are 2008. So what I found with the Nationals is they have about 4 scout days a year, and they issue different patches for each one. The best I can tell, the two undated ones there at the top are 2009 and then 2010, and then here's our R4 for 2011. One of those featuring Girl Scout. I have three of the four from 2012, just one 2013, but then three 2014s. And like I said, I suspect that there's actually four for each of those years. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, you got the Girl Scout for this year, 2023. I have not found an image for the Boy Scout patch for this year. And so I got a little bit extra tonight. So some college issues. Alabama did that one in 2015. Arizona Wildcats there in 2018 and 19. Arizona State, which is a prominent baseball program. And then Watanabe Lodge issued a couple of flaps to celebrate Mississippi State winning the 2021 College World Series. Georgia is issued a bunch. Most of them dated, a few of them are not dated. I kind of like the fact that they used the same design and carried it through. And you got the top two left ones are Indiana, then Louisville. Notre Dame's got all sports. I assume they gave this out at all of their sports. It's featured on the patch. And then the CSP at the bottom for Indian Water celebrated South Carolina winning the 2010 and 2011 College World Series. And the bottom right that you see the back, that's actually signed by Coach Ray Tanner, who later became the athletic director. This is the schedule that I've been able to put together for this year. The teams that already have dates out there, and if I could grab an image for what they were going to issue, I got that plugged in there, and I went ahead and put both leagues on here. Some of these dates are coming up soon. I believe Kansas or Oakland is the first one on the 15th, which will be like next Saturday, and Kansas City on Sunday. So some of these are coming up pretty quick, and you can see that some teams have multiple dates. All right, and that's it for tonight. We'll cover the American League 2 weeks from now. Except I left that one Chicago Cub issue.